Hello and welcome to this episode of PTI Podcast. We have with us today a very special guest. He was an IAS officer par excellence and held several key posts, including Secretary Youth Affairs and Sports. But his most enduring legacy is that he was the Chief Election Commissioner between 2010 and 2012, during which he introduced a number of reforms. He is also a prolific author and has written several books, including An Undocumented Wonder, The Making of the Great Indian Election. His latest book, India and I, which chronicles 100 episodes from his life, is set to hit the stands soon. MP Shashi Tharoor recently described him as a conscience keeper of the Republic and an iridescent symbol of the idea of India. I am talking about Dr. SY Quraishi. Welcome to PTI Podcast, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, I'll start off by asking you that normally, when politicians and bureaucrats write their memoirs, it tends to be a narrative starting from their childhood and, how it pans their ups and downs in professional life. But you've taken a different route. You've decided to, come out with 100 memories, 100 episodes from your life, which is a slightly different route for narrating your aap beati, as we would call it in Urdu.
Yeah.
So how did that come about?
Well, lots of friends used to ask me to write an autobiography. And my answer, and very honest and sincere, used to be that I'm not important enough to be writing an autobiography. It's for big people. And at the same time, I have some interesting memories. So somebody, a poet with a friend of mine, the Dr. Nawaz Deobandi, once around midnight called me. He said, Quraishi Saab, you have done lots of things in your life. Why don't you write 100 random episodes, 1 page each? I liked the idea. It was very unusual. And then I started thinking of the topics, and over a period of time I came out with 150, so of which 100 I've selected, and every topic is covered in exactly 500 words, so that they are over in just 2 pages.
Sir, you've, as I said, you've served as an IAS officer par excellence. You've been a policy implementer. You were the Chief Election Commissioner, and now you're an author. But what is the role that has excited you the most, that has given you the most satisfaction in your life?
Well, the beauty of IAS is the variety of jobs that you do. Otherwise, in one department, you stay for 35 years doing the more or less the same thing. It can get boring also. The beauty of IAS is that you are always moving from one department to the other, from agriculture to industry to IT to whatever, and you have to learn, because you can't lead the institution and the department with illiteracy. You have to learn the subject so that you lead them from the front. So that is why you are constantly learning. So that is the virtue of the IAS. But and of course, in the IAS, we have done elections right from the day one. In fact, during my training, and I have one episode is how I was made in charge of a single polling booth where a school teacher is appointed. And from after that, I became in charge of CEC of 1 million booths. So, but election commission or chief election commissioner is a unique experience because of its sheer enormity and the size and the level. So I would think that my entire IAS career is one, and CEC or election commissioner before that for 4 years is unique.
Yes, sir. You rightly pointed out, sir, you were the Chief Election Commissioner between 2010 and 2012. So what, as a CEC, what do you feel is your enduring legacy, and what do you feel, what has been eroded in the past few years of your legacy that you had left as CEC?
Well, that's a good question. Partly easy to answer, partly difficult. First of all, leaving a legacy was embedded in me in my very first posting by my then boss, Mr. S.K. Misra. He said, look, as IAS officer, you are tested and tried, you are a bright officer, you will be a big officer, bada officer all your life. But you have to do things in such a way that you leave some impact and do something out of the box, besides the routine things, of course. So leaving legacy, I thought was a very important thing. If you are a bright officer, you will surely do something. You will leave the chair better than you had found it. So in Election Commission, I am very proud of doing at least 4 things which I have endured. One is that I focused on voter education and set up a voter education division. As a result, since 2010, every election has given a historic turnout. This is only getting higher and higher. Secondly, I try to do money control, so for which I set up another new division called Expenditure Monitoring Division. Third, I started National Voters Day. I was in Bhubaneswar addressing a civil society meeting when somebody from the audience raised his hand and said 18 years is a special age which should be celebrated. I thought it was a very good statement and immediately put a team together to come up with some celebration, and that is the National Voters Day. That every year, and then we had to choose a date for that. I chose 25th January. And why? Because not many people know, hardly anybody knows that Election Commission of India was born a day before India was born as a republic. India became a republic a day later. So that was the importance the framers of the constitution had given to the election. So Election Commission was born, and since nobody knew about it, I thought it will be a National Voters Day on that day will be a good reminder. And that has done wonders because millions and millions of young voters have got registered because of the National Voters Day every year. We have been celebrating it since 2011. And the fourth important thing is, of course, is a training institute called India International Institute of Democracy and Election Management, IIIDEM. That has trained 143 countries, besides our own domestic trainees, commissioners and top election managers of 143 countries. We have become wish guru in election, proven. So the fact that they make a beeline to train from us is a matter of great pride. And recently it came into some controversy. One of the episodes mentions it when Donald Trump said that we are stopping to fund Indian election, which was a total rubbish and nonsense, because we have not accepted even a single rupee from any country ever for the elections.
And do you think that any of those legacies that you left behind and EC that you left behind, that has been eroded in the last few years?
Not at all, not at all. All four have survived and they have gone from strength to strength, no doubt. But one legacy, which is the difficult part of your question, one legacy was the image and the credibility of the Election Commission. I am very sorry to say, and maybe I hope I am wrong, that has got a severe beating. The way people are raising questions, I know it hurts me because it feels as if somebody is slapping me, because that is an institution which has enjoyed the highest credibility in the country, the highest trust, but that doesn't seem to be the situation now. So that legacy, I do feel has got eroded, and I'm very sad about it.
Coming to your book, in one of the 100 episodes, you've talked about how, as a CEC, you always gave primacy to the opposition. You said that reassuring the opposition was one of your main objectives. Now, of late, we've seen that opposition parties have said that the EC has been completely unfair to them, not given an appointment when they sought. You have mentioned in your book that you immediately gave them an appointment whenever they needed. So, and in fact, in an unprecedented move, 24 opposition parties have written to the CJI raising questions over the EC's role. How do you look at these developments?
Well, that again is a very painful chapter. Because as I've written, my declared policy, was to be with the opposition. Because they are the underdogs, they are out of power, they need your support. Government has long hands, it can get many things done as it is. So it is the opposition which needs hand holding and support. And I had told all my officers that please open all your doors to opposition. If they want appointment tomorrow, give them today. And if you get two requests for appointment, one from the government and one from the opposition, prefer the opposition, because we have to enjoy the trust of the entire country, particularly of the opposition. And which is why in our time, opposition was very comfortable with us. And let me remind you that in my entire tenure, the main opposition party was the BJP. And if some of their leaders criticize me, they are being very short-sighted. My policy actually benefited the opposition, particularly the BJP. So that's very important to remember.
But as a former CEC, do you think that you also think that the EC has been a little unfair to the opposition parties of late and seen more close to the dispensation to the ruling government? Is that what you feel also?
A little unfair is a gross understatement. Of course, they have been very unfair, which is why twice in the last 5 years they have gone to the Supreme Court. 23 parties going to the Supreme Court in appeal because the Election Commission is not giving them a hearing. That's not acceptable. How are they doing it and how are they getting away with it? That surprises me. That is not what is expected of the Election Commission. They have to take everybody along. We see a large section of the media who is always, instead of questioning the government, they are always questioning the opposition. Why didn't you do this? Why are you doing this? Going back to Nehru's time, they are questioning the opposition. It should be the other way. In democracy, you question the government, and government is answerable to the people. And here we find that the opposition, they keep begging for appointment. They don't get the appointment, and the proof is, I'm not making a wild allegation. So you only asked me this question, that the 24 parties have gone to Supreme Court as recently as a week ago.
They've written to the CJI, yes.
Yeah, they've written to the CJI, and 2-3 years ago they had appeared, 23 parties had appeared before the Supreme Court with a complaint of the same nature.
Sir, I've seen your comments. You've earlier also said that EC not only has to be fair, it has also it should ensure that it appears to be fair. So on the second count, do you think that the present commission and in the last decade or so has taken that perception has taken a beating? It's not appearing to be fair. That perception is
but as you said, first is to be fair. The question is whether they are being fair. The appearing to be fair is the second thing. So the fact that not me but the people are questioning all that, that is something about which EC should introspect. And let's remember there are 3 members. And all 3 will have different temperament, and I'm sure there must be some internal debate going on about what is happening to Election Commission and its working and its image.
There's a very interesting episode in your book where you talk about that you had censured a union minister, and during UP elections, and then Prime Minister Manmohan Singh called you over and said, that if you believe that he has questioned the Election Commission, he would commit suicide, and you've gone on to praise him, saying that he was a sort of person who would lived the soul of the constitution. So do you as the CEC in those years, did you ever feel any pressure from the government to regarding the dates of the election or any other decision? Was there any pressure from the UPA government during your tenure?
Not at all. There was no question of any pressure, because the image of the Election Commission was such that nobody would dare to approach us. And as regards about the dates of the election, I know that IB was roaming around the election building just to smell and sniff around what the dates are. The government was always the last to know when we are going to hold the election. And we used to announce it in a press conference. That is the time when the government also got to know.
You feel that has changed now?
I don't know. I don't think so. I hope not, but I have no information about it.
Okay. Sir, also in your book, you've, as you mentioned at the start of the interview, there are a number of reforms that you undertook, and also you've spoken about SIR earlier. You've said that, it has taken place earlier also, but this exercise that is being carried out right now is different. In what way do you think that this SIR is different, and in what way is it unfair?
SIR is unfair the way it is being done anyway, because it is focusing more on exclusion. How many people can you throw out of the electoral roll? That should seem to be the focus. Whereas in our time it was a very clear policy. Our instruction to the polling staff used to be that if somebody comes introducing himself or herself and there was some minor error in the spelling, age or address or something, but that the person is the right person, the polling agent sitting there, they know the right person, so ignore all mistakes so that no voter is excluded. Here the emphasis is how many to exclude, and as if they will get good marks for throwing out as many as they can, and crores have been thrown out. All right, so it has really played havoc with democracy. That free and fair elections have been disturbed, and that is something the nation should be concerned about, and it is, which is why this controversy, which is why you are asking me this question. So I think we used to, every year, we were not fools. We were also purifying the electoral roll was our constitutional mandate, and we were doing it every year. In 2002 and 3, in Bihar, after the last intensive revision, the decision was taken that the intensive revision is no longer necessary because the rolls have been computerized. Now, if your name is there and 99 names are already there, and then I go back home and start finding from scratch who lives in this house, that is foolish. So, the decision was taken, we'll only do summary revision, which means we'll go to your house, show you the electoral roll, look, in your family there are 4 voters, these are the names, these are the ages and everything. Is that all fine? If you say it's fine, then we move to the next house. If not, if some voter has been added, BLO will give you a form 6, fill up the form, and within 7 days it will get added. Or if you needed to delete, somebody has moved or somebody has died, you fill form 7. Normally neighbors give form 7 more liberally because they are always trying to pounce on the other neighbor. So, or if there is any change required, form 8. So that was all done on the spot. And with the result, a 99% roll had become perfect as a result of annual exercise. The same PLO who is coming to your house now, creating difficulties for you, used to come and just check with you. And if the idea was to find foreigners, it was very easy. Just add one more question to BLO's list of questions. Ask the neighbor, okay, look, in your neighborhood, have you seen any new face in the last 1 year? No neighbor is always very happy to complain against a neighbor. Okay, yes, I see a guy who is very suspicious and who looks from here, there may be a terrorist. So that was the best way to find the foreigners. Bihar exercise started in the name of finding illegal immigrants. 8 crore people were made to run around. How many foreigners were found? Till today, the Election Commission has not told us the figure. Why? Child's play? Is their discretion? Nation wants to know, we want to know, everybody wants to know. Please tell us how many foreigners you found. But from the media we hear that 500 foreigners were found, of which 150 were Bangladeshis and 350 were Nepali Hindu women who had come by marriage to Bihar. Now to find 150 Bangladeshis, you made 8 crore people run around, and in the process deleted lakhs and lakhs of voters. So what purpose have you achieved? Is that fair? Absolutely not.
Sir, you've talked about internal criticism, but recently, just a few days ago, UN rapporteurs have also chided the SIR exercise and criticized it. So how do you look at that? And you yourself mentioned about Form 6 recently. It's been added that the parents' details have also to be given. So how do you look at that? These two things?
Two different things. One, the UN rapporteurs' writing is unfortunate. Because nobody from outside the country should be telling us how to conduct elections. And it is a very sad situation we have come to such a pass that some foreign group has written to us. It should not have happened. But at the same time, we should not just dismiss it, it is our domestic matter, internal matter. It's a serious matter. Investigate and answer. Now that because it is an international news, if you just keep quiet, the suspicion will get confirmed. You have to give a convincing answer to the whole world, because people around the world would be waiting for an answer. And second,
Form 6,
Form 6,
adding...
Form 6 is a continuation of the exercise to make life difficult and miserable for the voters. So ask more and more questions, make it otherwise. Presumption is, if you read Article 326, that was the first sentence which Election Commission has used in the opening press conference. Read Article 326. It says, subject to certain limitations, everybody shall be registered as a voter. Being registered as a voter is your and mine constitutional right and their constitutional duty. Instead of that, it is being situation is being created that this is a favor granted to you by the Election Commission.
I'm glad that you brought that up, sir. Recently, Congress MP Mr. Jairam Ramesh had called for making right to vote a fundamental right. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, indeed, because it is strange that many times over all these decades, the case has gone up to the Supreme Court and they have always held that this is a statutory right created by an act of parliament and not given in the constitution. But 2013 was the famous Nota judgment. Then it was a constitution bench and they said that your right not to vote is also a constitutional right and a fundamental right because it's a part of freedom of expression under Article 19. So, if right not to vote can be fundamental, how can right to vote not be a fundamental right? And I think 2024 there was one judgment which also asserted the same point. Supreme Court is moving in that direction to declare it as a constitutional right.
Moving on, sir, to the episodes from your book. Now, there is an episode in the book where you recall that you were called a Muslim commissioner by a politician. So, you go on to say, and I quote, that the next target will not be one individual, it would be equal citizenship itself. Can you elaborate on that?
Well, two things here. One, that is a fact that one leader, some petty leader of a party, criticized me because I had commented on Twitter on Waqf Act. So provoked by that, he said that Quraishi was a Muslim commissioner and he did so much for Muslims and he did all that kind of nonsense he is indulged in. So, but I thought this was very offensive because I was election commissioner of India. For me, India is a bigger and a greater identity than my religion. So, to accuse me of being a Muslim who is partisan was absolutely unacceptable, and I reacted to that. And in fact, in one episode I mentioned that I have reminded him of what Mr. Jetli had to say about me. If you remember what episode is that? I'll just tell you. In fact, this is very important for that gentleman to know that his top leader had some words to use for me, and here is a guy who is questioning my religion. There it is. Sorry, it is another one, not a Muslim commissioner. Now, Mr. Jetli called me one of India's most mature and credible CECs. Now, where is Mr. Jetli and where is this puny politician who said this? Where is the comparison? So this is what he had to say. And Mr. Gopal Gandhi, if they know who Mr. Gopal Gandhi is, grandson of Mahatma Gandhi and C. Rajgopalachari. Mahatma Gandhi दादा हैं, गोपालाचारी नाना हैं. वो क्या लिखते हैं? One of the most remarkable CECs India ever had. Yeah, this is what people think of me, and here is this MP, insignificant MP, who has this nonsense to say about me.
So in the book, you've also talked about the MOU that was controversial, and Donald Trump and Musk had questioned that. It was the MOU with IFES, if I'm not wrong. So how do you see that controversy and the allegations hurled against you? What would you say on that?
Yeah, that also recently a sad controversy in which the same group of people who are hostile to me and looking for any excuse to pounce on me. What happened was Donald Trump created a department to reduce government expenditure, and he made Elon Musk as the head of that. And he closed down many departments and stopped funding of USAID, which was funding an organization called IFES, International Foundation for Electoral System. This organization, a non-government organization, was operating in more than 150 countries across the world to promote democracy. So So I signed an MOU 13 days before my retirement because I had mentioned to you earlier a training institute which I had set up, India International Institute of Democracy and Election Management. It was set up originally to train our own election managers. But since we had that kind of reputation, there was a lot of demand from foreign countries to train their commissioners also. We said, all right, we throw the door open, we'll give them training and free, we'll not charge them a rupee. But we cannot get South Africa to come here and stay with us. That is not the expenditure we can incur. All these countries coming from outside. So that is the MOU with the IIFS, that they will bring these countries at their cost or whichever cost. When they arrive in India, we will give them free training. Second help that we wanted from the IIFES was the technical help, because if South Africa is coming, they don't want to know about Indian election laws. Of course, in the background, yes, but they want to know about South African laws, Nigerian laws, the Kenyan laws. So to customize the training program for them, we had no knowledge or expertise. So we said, please send experts who will sit with our experts to prepare customized training program, and which is what we did. Now, 5-page MOU had mentioned very clearly that this does not have any financial or legal obligation. Now, the way the Shahid Hanorchi of a party pounced on me, and some channels were flagging it and on the channels. Look, Quraishi did this anti-national. I have retired 13 days later, but the MOU has been in operation for 13 years. Why has the government not stopped it? Because this MOU was doing a wonderful thing. 143 countries who have trained from us, for which we have become Vishguru. India should be proud of it. Instead of appreciating giving me a pat on the back, they are giving me a kiss on my back, the kick on my back. How ridiculous it is. So, Donald Trump's claim or Elon Musk's claim that they were funding India's election is the most ridiculous thing. But what else do you expect from these two gentlemen?
So you've also talked about your interactions in the book with Mr. Suresh Kalmadi and Mr. Mani Shankar Iyer, who was the sports minister, I believe, at that time. Later on, the CWG scam rocked the country. Tell us something about how was it working with Mr. Kalmadi, and also how was it working with Mr. Mani Shankar Iyer in the ministry?
Yeah. You see, I was earlier the Director General of National AIDS Control Organization, from which I was promoted and transferred as Secretary, Minister of Youth Affairs and Sports. And I was told by the PMO that you have been chosen because it's a special responsibility, and they thought I will do it well, that they are going to hold Commonwealth Games. Now, this happened in 2005, Commonwealth Games in 2010. By then, our department had already given 770 crores to Indian Olympic Association, led by Mr. Suresh Kalmadi. So we were only asking for accounts, detailed procedures that we have for, it's a public money, we cannot just throw it away. We wanted accounts, and he was dragging his feet. So we had a meeting in Mr. Mani Shankar Iyer's room. He was a very fine minister, very, very fine minister indeed. So he and Kalmadi were arguing when I jumped in, and I said, okay, Mr. Kalmadi, if we are asking for accounts from you, it is public money. We are not singling you out for anything extraordinary or harsh. So you owe it to us to give us the information. And the argument got a bit heated. That is when I said, okay, look, we will all end up in Tihar jail. You all will be enjoying. We will be in Tihar jail because we did not guard the public money. So he was quite shocked and taken aback. And he said, what do you mean? Because 5 years before Commonwealth Games, who could have imagined Tihar jail? But we have training to think ahead, and fortunately, or unfortunately, that is exactly what happened. He spent about 9 months in Tihar jail. Fortunately, not one of our officers. But it was such a high pressure job that my immediate successor was Mr. S.K. Arora, very fit man, very great sportsman. He died of heart attack while he was in office. and he was replaced by Sudhir Nath, another bright IAS officer, who again died of heart attack. Two officers, sports secretaries dying in harness, one after the other. That was the pressure of the job. And thank God I'm talking to you, because I moved out, but otherwise you don't know. And fortunately, the lady who came after these two gentlemen passed away. She was very strong and had backbone. She fought exactly the way I was fighting, and with the result that her record was very clean. While the organizers of the games, they were questioned, some of them went to jail. She came out with flying colors. So, but that is one classic story of bureaucracy versus the politician and the sports mafia.
So you've also talked about an episode where your meetings along with other eminent Muslims with the RSS chief, Mr. Mohan Bhagwat. You've I guess said that there have been 3 such meetings. Now you've addressed the criticism of these meetings in the book as well, but there's one that I would like to point out, that some people say, why engage with the RSS, why not directly engage with the government if you have to discuss problems related to Muslims? Why engage with RSS? It's a cultural organization after all.
Yes, we have heard this criticism many times. We would surely love to have engaged with the government also. But why? We thought we'll go to the head and say that the lynching and the hate speech and the polarization which is happening, which is polluting the atmosphere in the country. So it is very unpleasant, and we should complain to him. So we sought an appointment. He didn't invite us. We sought an appointment. He was kind enough to give us the first possible appointment within 2-3 weeks in Delhi. And then we complained, look, what is happening is not pleasant, and what do you think will be the future of Muslims in your Hindu Rashtra? So he made it very clear that we always had Hindu Rashtra, have now, and will always have. So that is fine, you happy that you have a Hindu Rashtra, but what will be the situation of Muslim in that Hindu Rashtra? He says we cannot even imagine Hindu Rashtra without Muslim. हम कल्पना भी नहीं कर सकते मुसलमानों के बिना हिंदू राष्ट्र की. That was very reassuring. Another reassuring thing, he said that we are not planning to change any constitution. And why should they? Because they are achieving whatever they wanted to do. They have established Hindu Rashtra within the same constitution. According to Mr. Bhagwat, they have achieved it. So without changing the constitution. So, but he said we Hindus have to complain only that we don't like cow slaughter and people eating beef, and Muslim calling us kafir, we don't like it. These were the only complaints he made. So our answer was that you have already banned cow slaughter in country except 2-3 states. Ban in the entire country and enforce the ban. It is up to you. That you are running the government. Tell the government to enforce it. So as far as personally we are concerned, we in any case don't eat beef. For us, there is no problem. Secondly, kafir, we try to explain that kafir is not an abuse. It's an Arabic word for a non-believer. I am a believer because I believe there is one Allah and Muhammad is his prophet. So I am a believer. If you do not believe in this, you are a non-believer, for which Arabic word is kafir. But if you think it is an abusive word, we should avoid it, we will not use it, and we will tell others also not to use it. And in our counter complaint, we say, okay, look, at the drop of a hat, you also call us Pakistani and jihadi. We also don't like it. So he says, yes, absolutely, this is wrong, we should tell our people not to do it. So I think it was a very positive discussion. And of course, we would love to meet the government also if they give us time.
Sir, you were also a crusader against rampant money being spent in elections, as you pointed out, and you took steps. But in recent elections, we've seen the amount of money that has been spent. And has EC actually failed to check that menace?
Well, that's a very serious problem. And when I took over as CEC in my inaugural press conference, I gave myself 2 challenges. One was dealing with voter apathy, for which I created a voter education division, and we went hammer and tongs and improved the voter turnout. Bihar 2010 was the first election, highest in history, And after that, we have not looked back. Everywhere in the country, it is only getting higher and higher. So we succeeded. But the second challenge I gave to myself was my money power, and we set up another new division called Expenditure Monitoring Division with a Director General from Income Tax, and who made the guidelines, and we started raiding politicians' hideouts and their hotels and banquet halls and farmhouses, and seized hundreds of crores. So initially we had great success. In my book, which you mentioned, I think in the introduction, An Undocumented Wonder, The Making of the Great Indian Election, in a chapter on money power, I have listed 40 modus operandi of abuse of money. The way innovative thing, for instance, there will be a fake marriage party. 4,000 people coming and having drink and having chicken and enjoying the party. We went inside to see and to congratulate the doula. There was no doula, there was no dulan. It was a fake wedding party. So, and then we discovered this modus operandi. It is one of the 40. That, all the mundan ceremonies and grand niece and grand nephew's birthday, everything happened those days. And for the lavish parties are thrown, which was a way of bribing voters. So we were able to control it initially very tightly, very strongly. But the crime is always ahead, and politicians are clever. So they came up with newer techniques. And I'm sorry to admit that money power is still, I think, the only problem which is uncontrolled in the election.
Okay. So your tenure also saw a statue controversy. This was in UP when you had ordered that all the elephant statues in parks that were built by BSP Chief Mayawati at that time should be covered. Now that came in for a lot of criticism. People questioned the logic of it, and people even mocked it. So looking back, do you think it was the right decision?
Absolutely, it was the right decision. And I've mentioned this as one of the episodes. In fact, as you rightly said, even my friends were critical of it, and they've said it. So very senior people and who had good opinion of me. They said, okay, that is the only controversial decision, and I tried to explain to them, which I will explain to you. You see, what happened was that Mayawati was spending crores of rupees on some parks in Noida and in Lucknow. Hundreds of crores were spent, in which she was creating these statues of elephant, which is also her party symbol. So when the case went to Supreme Court said, okay, we'll take a call on misuse of public money, but regarding the forfeiture of the symbol, election symbol, let Election Commission decide. They referred it to us. We sat as a court. We have a court in the Election Commission. We sat as a court, battery of lawyers on both sides. They argued the case. And of course, if we wanted, we would have forfeited, because there was a pretty good case. But we are not trigger happy. We were not then, in any case. We were not trigger happy. We didn't want to harass, and we thought the symbol has been there for 15 years. People will also get confused. So we took a decision that we will not freeze the symbol, but we mentioned it in our judicial order that when the time comes, when the election comes, we will surely take steps which will take care of this problem. And this paragraph was written in bold letters, which is rare for a judgment. Judgment is written in the same font and normal font, not bold. But we to highlight it. And when the time came, now what to do? This is surely a symbol, and which has been created at public expense. So other parties came to us. Samajwadi said that we also want our cycle to be put on 50 pedestals at public expense. Congress came to us, we also want our Hath Ka Panja on pedestals at public expense. Otherwise, it is disturbing the level playing field. Surely there was a good case in it. So we decided that we actually looked at a very interesting alternative, which would have cost us only 1,000 rupees. There are two parks. We thought if we just put a padlock, 500 रुपए का ताला उस पर लगा दें एक महीने के लिए, तो issue is over. We had that option. But our legal person said, look, anybody can go to the court and say that his fundamental right for a morning walk has been taken away, which we didn't want to do. So alternative was to cover it. Now people criticize, oh no, crores of rupees, hundreds of crores is spent, it is all nonsense, total rubbish. I've mentioned the figure, 2 lakh something thousand. I had seen, we used to go to the market when we in our field days in the monsoon to cover the food grains. We used to have a plastic sheet. So I asked the chairman of FCI at that time, please tell me what is the cost of one covering. 300, 500, 2000, that's it. And all of them put together, 2 lakh or something, that's all. I think we had already forewarned that we are going to take an action of this kind, because we have to ensure level playing field. That was our commitment, and I think what we did was the right thing, and I stand by it.
So in your book, in your earlier part of your career, you've also talked about Mr. T.N. Session and his no-nonsense approach. Now, as we've talked about at length, how EC is under the scanner recently, it's facing a lot of criticism, its actions have been questioned. Do you think that India currently needs another T.N. Session?
Of course, because Mr. T.N. Session really did revolutionary work, because that was the time when Election Commission was not even recognized. People did not know it was just one of those departments, probably of the law ministry. That was the public perception. He put the fear of God and fear of Election Commission in the mind of the politician. He was really the need of the time. I'm not sure whether he can get away with some of the things which he did then. For instance, he used to say that he eats the politicians for breakfast. I don't know whether today any CEC, including Mr. Session, will like to say that. So, but we do need, at least if not Mr. Session, we need a very fair and impartial working and even-handed working of the Election Commission, which is visible to the people.
So you've also talked about that how being a Muslim only once came in the way of discharging your duty, and that was, I think, related to Mewat, because it's a Muslim majority area, and so you were not given charge of that and instead deputed elsewhere. Now, Mr. Hamid Ansari who's also an eminent Muslim who has held various constitutional posts, has also talked about the discrimination has been rising. Do you also feel the same, or do you think that it has always been there and it's still the same, there's no difference?
No, I would not refer to Mr. Hamid Ansari or whatever he said or did not say, but the incident which is mentioned in one of the episodes. I was the divisional commissioner of Gurgaon, and when the election came, and the chief electoral officer of Haryana along with Home Secretary came to my division. There were 4 districts, and we organized 2 meetings every day, and 4 districts were covered in 2 days. I was there. When at the end of all that, when we went to the airport to see them off, suddenly the CEO dropped a brick on me, and he said, "Quraishi Saab, you were appointed observer in Yamunanagar, you haven't gone." I said, "Sir, I've been with you for 2 days and monitoring the arrangement for the election. You never uttered a word, and suddenly now you're dropping a brick. What is this?" No, that is very important. You have to go. So it was very dishonest of him not to tell me up front. He says, "Don't attend these meetings, please go and attend the training program." He didn't do that. So there was some doubt which I had in my mind, because I had additional charge of resident commissioner, Haryana Bhavan. So I thought maybe because surely Election Commission would not put on observer duty somebody who is conducting election in his own area. So I called up, it was under President's rule at the Haryana. I called up Mr. Zafar Saifullah, who was an advisor, and I said, "Sir, there seems to be some confusion. So should I go for the observer duty or what?" He says, No, yeah, surely there is confusion. You don't bother. I'll talk to T.N. Session. So half an hour later, he says, "Quraishi, I checked up the situation. I think it is better that you go, because the chief secretary has taken a stand that Gurgaon division has a Mewat area where there are Muslims, and Quraishi is a Muslim, and therefore it will not be advisable." Let me remind you, in 40 years of civil service, all the glory came to me from the Hindus. And whatever brickbats I received were from the Muslims of Malerkotla when I was the administrator of Punjab of board. In such a situation, to be branded as a Muslim, what about Hindu collectors supervising a Hindu district all over the country? It was totally nonsensical approach of that civil servant, that gentleman, and very unpardonable. And sure enough, I went to do my duty as observer in Yamunanagar, but this has left a scar on my mind, because otherwise I have not encountered any communalism. It's total, all my friends, all my bosses, all my reports, if you see, they've given me glowing reports. All were Hindus and Sikhs and not Muslims.
Sir, you just last two questions. You've been closely watching the developments in Nepal also. Your late wife was from that country, the youth rebellion that took place there. Do you think something like that can happen in India also?
Well, I hope not. I hope not, but at the same time, the government should be conscious of it. Because when I first commented that the Gen Z of Nepal are not anti-democracy, so the same IT cell pounced on me. Oh, Quraishi, so as if I'm trying to provoke the Gen Z, which was total rubbish. So, but they keep looking for an opportunity to attack me. Well, the fact is that in Bangladesh also it is the Gen Z who protested. But whereas India doesn't have the same situation as in Nepal or Bangladesh, we have a better governance, better government, and more sensitive to the grassroots situation. And I think we are handling the situation much better, and it will not happen and should not happen. At the same time, we should not be blind to the field conditions, thinking and taking it for granted that this cannot happen. These things can happen anywhere.
So my final question to you is that there's this bill that could come up in Parliament about increasing Lok Sabha seats, and also because women's reservation coming in and delimitation being. So what do you make of these ideas? Do you think they are feasible? Do you think that's practical?
Well, you know about the Women's Reservation Act. I had written an article in Indian Express giving a way out to the government. I said, look, at the current rate, you cannot even implement it in 2029. But I have a formula that you can do it today. Today, I'm repeating, it can be done today. I said, what you need to do, go think out of the box a little. You have already created a building which can accommodate 888 people. So space is no constraint. Immediately reserve 50% additional seats for women, and give all those the additional seats should be given to women according to the current ratio. If one party had 100 and you have to add 50, so that becomes 150. If one party had 50, you give them another 25. So in the same ratio, nobody will be bothered, nobody will be disturbed, everybody will be fine, and it can be implemented right now. I think I would draw attention of the government to that article once again. Please have a look at it, because government tried and failed in the constitutional amendment. Now that has happened, let them have a look at this proposal. This is very much possible.
Sir, our final segment with you is a fun rapid fire round where I just take the names of personalities, and whatever first comes to your mind, you can say that, and either I give you choices, you just pick one. So this is the final fun round that we'll finish with.
Fun for you, tough for me.
Tough for you. But fun for the audience also.
All right.
So, I'll just fire away, sir. My first person is Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Charismatic.
Former PM Manmohan Singh.
Noble.
The RSS.
Controversial.
CEC Gyanesh Kumar.
No words to explain him.
Best PM India has had.
Without doubt, Nehru.
Youth Affairs and Sports Secretary or CEC? Role that gave you more satisfaction?
Absolutely CEC.
Okay. My final question, sir. SY Quraishi, the policy implementer, SY Quraishi, the CEC, or SY Quraishi, the author?
This is a tough one, but I would say that CEC, because I became an author because I was a CEC and I had experiences to share. Just one word answer, CEC.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for spending time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.